It's a huge catch for a tiny boat. All manner of fish flap about on the deck, but it's too choppy for us to film. By the time we're back at the port, there's little movement.
Today's catch would have been worth $3,000 they think, far more than they would have caught before Fukushima, because these waters are now so underfished. But all they can do with them is sort out the biggest varieties and send them off to the lab for testing. They can sell none of this.
Sea bream, flounder, sea bass, a gigantic monkfish. Like throwing away money, the fishermen say. We can't put them on the market. There's nothing we can do, says Mitsunori Suzuki. Wrecked boats litter Iwaki harbour still 2 years after the tsunami, a wasteland where buildings once stood. But it was the nuclear disaster at Fukushima Daiichi power plant 30 kilometres further north which destroyed these men's livelihoods. Contaminated water used to cool highly radioactive nuclear fuel released straight into the ocean by TEPCO, the plant operator, in the weeks after the earthquake and tsunami. 2 years on, the fishermen are frustrated to hear of further leaks. TEPCO says they'll dig a hole right in front of the reactor building and throw that groundwater into the ocean before it gets contaminated, Suzuki says. But what's happened now is there's a leak in a reservoir above, so that groundwater won't be clean. One of TEPCO's many problems is that groundwater is leaking into the damaged reactor buildings, 400 cubic meters a day, on top of the 300 cubic meters it has to pump through to cool the nuclear fuel debris sunk deep inside the reactor vessels. That water gets contaminated too, and all of it needs to be stored somewhere. Leaks in the underground reservoir system mean TEPCO's having to resort to overground tanks, 900 of them, 80% of which are full. Last week, inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency examined the site to check on the decommissioning process and to see for themselves whether TEPCO's measures to deal with its water issues are effective, namely a better purification technology still in testing, which TEPCO says would make the contaminated water safe enough to release, and a pumping system to try and lower the groundwater level so it won't seep into the reactors. But these men lost their faith in TEPCO a long time ago. They always say it's all right, it's safe, says Suzuki. But if anything happens and it comes on the news, it always turns out they're not telling the truth. So if you ask if I believe them, I don't. And although these fish have trace radioactivity below the food safety level, they can't sell them. It'll be a long time before the market regains faith in a Fukushima-branded fish. Diana Magne, CNN, Iwaki, Japan.